Hi everyone, welcome to our last session. So we're going to conclude our last session and discuss about the organizational growth and conclude the session on strategic management and implementation. Our organization, after they properly plan for some strategy intent, after they have planned how to position the company, how to strategize in terms of marketing, in terms of the product launches, or in terms of venturing overseas, organization still have to manage the fundamental issue, which is what kind of growth, for example, this organization will experiencing. Organization sometimes do have a hard problem in coping for growth because along with growth comes with bigger portfolio, comes with greater profitability, and comes greater need for manpower. And sometimes organizations are not ready to take on um, these challenges or take on growth. Organizations, they might think they are ready to grow, but sometimes organizations are not prepared to manage those crises of the growth. So in today's session, we're going to look into what in reality happens in organization as it grows from young to mature. So the organization can grow from a young organization to a mature organization. Start from being a small and manageable number to a medium-sized company, maybe 50 people, to maybe large to coming to a large organization from 200 and more. And at this stage, according to the theory, organization face different kind of crises as they grow in size. Initially, it will be the crisis of leadership when it grows from a single entrepreneur organization to about maybe let's say about 10 people to about 20 people. That's when they start to find leaders and managers to be able to manage the different function better. Then the organization face a crisis of, for example, finding enough managers and enough leaders. As the organization continue to grow, the next crisis they will face is the crisis of autonomy. Means not just we have the various divisional leaders or divisional direction, the organization needs to separate between the owner and the managers. So the owners are people who important stakeholder who started the company, but he or she cannot possibly be controlling the decision making of each department. So department of, for example, marketing, department of operations, or department of finance, because not just that he or she like the leadership, he or she may also looking into skills or lack of skills. So sometimes the owners in a crisis to separate the responsible ownership from the responsibility of leadership. Because being an owner doesn't mean you can run the organization or you have to run the organization. Doesn't mean you have to lead all the different departments. So that organization are expected to run by its own because certainly because they have developed the capabilities over the years, And if the organizations are able to manage by its own, that's when the owners can take a step back and read the fruit of the label rather than wanting to be the only person controlling everything. So the owners and some of the managers, they need to learn how to delegate in order for the company to continue to grow. But when they start to delegate, we have the issue of control. How much power do you have to delegate? And how much power do you have to, in terms of, for example, the budget, in terms of ability to basically manage certain functions, or how much function should you be responsible for? How many direct report should you have? So these are the issues of control here. An organization at this stage, when they are, for example, medium-sized organization, struggles with the issue of being able to delegate and being at the same time being the need to control to make sure um, that the delegated function still runs smoothly. Then after that, in the next stage of the growth, organization must learn to coordinate because some of its operations might be spread overseas at this point. So you might have the productions, operations in Mexico, and then different, for example, in Europe or Asia, or you might have another office in Australia or another office in US or Europe. So organization must learn to coordinate and function as a whole. And then as the organization grow to different countries again, we have the crisis of laws and regulations, and we call them red tapes, because organization will face new set of problems it has not faced before, operating in different countries perhaps, bring about different regulatory requirements. And of course, along with coordinations, we need to have a certain extent of control, and therefore organization also imposes red tapes within the organization, to be able actually to control. And lastly, the literature highlighted is an organization growth even larger. It has to learn not just coordinate, but to collaborate as well at the same time. Instead of someone coordinating the individual parts, has to learn and to work in partnership with one and other. So there is a also need to collaborate, that department that collaborate to each others. And of course this theory is certainly very relatable and interesting, um, because organizations often struggle through, um, from a stage one to stage two quite heavily, because they're experiencing growth from the first time, and they may have certain crises, but these crises are manageable, and it's common issues to sort out. And this is what we teach at the business school. At the stage three or phase three, organization do experience a control crisis, as when they implement a strategy. And again, this is relatively well addressed in the literature and taught in business schools as well. For example, balanced scorecard is an issue of trying to control the organization growth. But when it comes to this stage, means the stage uh, four become less prescriptive, it becomes um, loose kind of. And of course, in the phase five, looking into coordinations and collaborations, they don't provide the actual solution to the organization. So collaboration is a very big word that we need to always look into it. So, as the organization grows, there might be in the first stage or phase one. In this early stage, there are only just few people in the company or the firm. They might know each other very well, they share experience and knowledge. All relevant issues are discussed among each other, and this is typically creative a startup culture. As the company get larger, it get increasingly difficult to do everything in a mutual effort. They have problems in distinguish important from unimportant issues since there are few or no organization structure that allow you allocating work to certain persons. The company needs a stronger leader who holds the team together and establish appropriate system and structure. Now the organization is getting bigger. We go to the phase two is looking into direction. So now the company is able to direct certain issues and tasks to certain people. Normally, directives and controls are highly centralized at this stage. Of course, when we're looking at autonomy, if the company continue to grow, this leads to extremely high workload for the managers or the management team, and they have to handle nearly everything in the company. So as the company reaches a certain size, management will not be able to continue this way. So they will need to give up some of the tasks. That's why when we go into the phase three, so it comes to delegation, management delegates some of those tasks, function, authorities to other people in the companies, and maybe even departments emerge and develop their own dynamics as well. That's where the control come into play. And if management now fail to control the activities of these departments, they will start to hand the task more from their own view than with the whole business in mind. Phase four is also looking into coordinations. As we mentioned, projects and tasks are coordinated between all parties and departments of the company so they are well in tune with each other. And that's where the red tape come to place because this coordination can lead to a high level of bureaucracy. Fine tune required, high effort that makes it difficult for the company to adapt to changes in external environment. And if it comes to phase five, collaborations between all parts of the companies, organizations, and they can work together effectively in whatever situation they are actually facing. Nevertheless, doing business is never easy, and the next crisis is waiting for sure. So, to conclude, earlier study from Bain, which is a major consultant, found that it's only one out of seven companies is able to achieve a sustainable and profitable growth. Managers must keep in mind that growth is not necessarily equal to shareholders' value. So, should the shareholder values in fact come from increased profitability, not increase in revenue? So, there's a difference between revenue and profit. So revenue is the money that you collected, but profit is the money that you gain. Profit is the money that you gain after you deducting the cost. So determining what is the sustainable growth, we need to look into the ability of an organization to identify what is the profitable core business. And we've learned this in our session. For example, the BCG matrix or parenting matrix, which are the matrix or and businesses that must be classified as a core business to the company, and what is not the core business. Non-core business, um, those are the business that you're not able to support or get benefit, or maybe you do not know the organization. So organization need to have ongoing questioning of the reasons of its existence, and then developing and modifying those parts of the company that are vital to this core business. So how we can looking into that by using um, the different tools or different methods. Also, um, organization basically need to realize the changes in external environment quickly and react to them as fast as they can to be able to survive. Organization at the same time, they need to have internal processes that allow them to manage crisis of growth efficiently and to minimize any of the impact from there. And we reach to end of our entire session, focusing on corporate strategy. I hope you enjoyed those sessions, and I wish you all the best and good luck to your study.